Good evening. The July 15th, 2024 legislative session of the Arundel County Council is called to order. Please ensure all phones and electronic devices are set to silence. We will now have the invocation led by Ms. Fiedler.
Thank you. Before I lead with the prayer, I just want to make a few comments. 11 days ago, we celebrated the birthday of our nation, our independence and freedom that is afforded to us by the men and women who are willing to give their life protecting those freedoms. Freedoms that give each of us the ability to speak freely, expressing our difference of opinion without fear of death or persecution. This is just one of the many freedoms we are afforded in America. 2 days ago, we witnessed an attempt to take the life of a political candidate and former president. An act of political violence that resulted in the death of a bystander, a fellow American. This act goes against everything that our great nation stands for. As a country, we have stood united in the aftermath of some of the darkest days in our history. We are our strongest when we come together as one, despite our differences that make each of us so unique. We must stand together now as a county, as a state, and as a country to condemn political violence and unite in our respect for one another as American citizens. Please join me in a moment of silence for Corey Comprator, who tragically lost his life on Saturday. Now please pray with me in a manner that is consistent with your faith, while I pray in a manner that is consistent with mine. Lord, we pray for elected officials and political candidates across our country and our federal, state, and local governments. We ask that you guide, protect, and watch over every man and woman who has been called to serve. They are your sons and daughters. They are mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers. We pray for our nation, whom you watch over with every rise and fall and in times of peril. May leaders be led by your wisdom now and always. This evening, we especially pray for the family of Corey Comprator as they grieve his death, and we pray for the recovery of the other citizens who were injured. Finally, Lord, we pray for the former President Trump and his family during his time of healing. In your name, amen. And now the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, please read the ethics statement.
The Ethics Commission has asked that I advise you that under certain circumstances, members of the public may qualify as lobbyists when they testify before the County Council. If so, the law requires that certain information be filed with the Ethics Commission. The chair of the Ethics Commission has asked that those who wish to testify in any form review the general information on lobbying sheet located on the Ethics website under Forms and Publications. If there are any questions about lobbying requirements, please contact the Ethics Commission at 410-222-4412.
Thank you. Before we open our discussions and public hearings, I would like to remind everyone in attendance, whether testifying or as a member of the audience, we must maintain decorum at all times within these chambers. Please know individual conversations in the audience are very disruptive to the proceedings, and I would kindly ask you to step out of the chambers if a side discussion is necessary. We will now open our invitation to audience. This is an opportunity to speak briefly on any subject not included in the printed agenda. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
Yes, Madam Chair. We received 5 pieces of testimony which were shared with the Council, added to the record, and posted to the website.
We will now call on individuals who signed up ahead of the meeting. When I call your name, please come up to the table and have a seat. When it is your turn, state your name and address for the record. Remarks will be limited to 2 minutes. Please listen for the buzzer and respect the 2-minute time limit as others are signed up to speak. If you have more than 2 minutes to share, I'm going to ask you to submit your additional thoughts using our online testimony tool. We did have 2 people sign up ahead of time, and anyone else is welcome to fill the 6 seats. If there are others here prepared to speak on items not on the printed agenda. The 2 individuals signed up are Jennifer Styer and Lauren Keslick.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Styer, 7511 Moraine Drive, Hanover, Maryland, 21076. I am a member of Friends of Arundel County Animal Care and Control and have been a very active shelter volunteer for 7.5 years. This year, it's awful, just saying. At first glance, it may appear that the shelter is still functioning as usual since the abrupt and shocking departure of its very competent longtime administrator, Robin Catlett. But in fact, it is in turmoil with key staff members seriously contemplating leaving, mistakes occurring that could have lasting impacts, and inappropriate decisions being made. I believe Councilmember Fiedler got a glimpse of what is going on when she visited the shelter Thursday. Citizens, volunteers, and staff had just witnessed the shelter's veterinarian crying in frustration during a public rabies clinic after her professional decisions again had been thwarted by lower-level shelter employees without any consequences to those staffers. Citing a medical reason, the vet had told the acting administrator she was leaving for the day, but the acting administrator's response was that she had to stay until the clinic was over. This dedicated veterinarian has not returned to work since Thursday, and I do not know when or even if she will return. Abruptly losing the shelter's vet, the backbone of the shelter's animal care, would be disastrous. A longtime shelter supervisor last week told her staff that she will soon retire. Other key personnel, disgusted by what happened to Robin and frustrated by the unfair or unwise decisions that are being made, may also depart. At the same time, the county executive has indicated he is close to moving the shelter out from under the police department. A new administrator is expected to be announced shortly, and the shelter grounds themselves are about to be partially consumed by a massive construction project. Change can be good, but this is not change. This is turmoil. Please continue to focus on what happened to Ms. Catlett and what is still happening at the shelter.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Lauren Keslack, 621 Cutter Court, Annapolis. My name's Lauren Keslack. I've been a volunteer for, I think, 3 years now, and a foster for 4. I don't even really know where to start with some of the dysfunction that we've been experiencing in the past few months. Just today, I literally just came from the shelter. I was supposed to be there for 15 minutes. I ended up staying for 2 hours. I'm there trying to, get help for my kittens that I'm fostering right now that have been sick for 2 weeks with diarrhea. No one knows what's going on. No one can help. I'm trying to help other fosters that are in similar situations that have animals that are dying in their care after hours. They call the on-call supervisor and are told, I don't know, why don't you call this other person who's not on call, not a supervisor, not hourly, and is not supposed to be working 24/7. That all you got to do is just call the on-call people and have them send them to the hospital or something. It can't be that hard. I'm sorry, but the animals are suffering from this, and people's mental health, both volunteers and staff, are obviously suffering from this. So I'm just asking you to please, please, please continue your support for the shelter. Continue trying to figure out what is going on here, and we need help. We're drowning. That's all I have to say. I'll follow up with an email when my thoughts are more collected. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sir?
I'm Josh Styer. I live at 7511 Moraine Drive. I'm a shelter volunteer, and I'm also a board member. As you know, Robin changed the name to Arundel County Animal Care and Control. You're going to hear that word a lot. She did so intending not just to change the name, but how it was actually run and what the whole purpose of the agency was. So I want to talk about accountability and permission. Accountability, you can hold yourself accountable. It's hard to do, and you can hold somebody else accountable, right? So holding yourself accountable is personal responsibility. It's your job to yourself, essentially. Holding other people accountable is what is a professional responsibility. It's what you do as a manager. Both are important, but holding yourself accountable is hard, so sometimes people don't. Holding other people accountable is the job of a good manager. So if somebody does something and it has the potential to cause harm and they don't hold themselves accountable, they might do it again. But if a manager doesn't hold somebody accountable for doing something, they're giving them permission to do it. If management, let's see, Robin held people accountable and expected people to care. You know, she held people accountable when they didn't. Even though it's easy to look at the numbers and the finances and things like that, sitting in a government office building, it's hard to know what's really going on over there. Robin knew what was needed over there, and the next administrator really needs to know, because when people aren't held accountable for doing things that can cause problems or can do harm, and like I said, the administrator doesn't hold them accountable, that administrator is giving permission to not care. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson?
Julia Johnson, P.O. Box 6634, Annapolis, Maryland. You've had really good witnesses tell you about the crisis within the animal care setting. I don't think you need to have me, babble on and try to repeat, the informative, presentations that they have made. But I think that it's okay for me to say that you have prior experience with the involvement of so many of your constituents with their pets, with the animals they care about, and you will feel the return. If this doesn't get straightened out, there will be political consequences, I believe. And I'm not here to bully you and say, oh, they're going to come after. No, it's not that. It's that you care, and all these other people care. And because you care, I expect you to do your very darndest best job to help get this situation relieved. My main comments, though, tonight were related to the heat. You all have heard about, the climate changes. You've heard people say, oh, it's a folks tale, it's a hoax, it's all kinds of nonsense. But at this point, I don't think you've got too many hardcore folks who say those forest fires are not real. And when last year's forest fires in Canada blew smoke down to Annapolis and Baltimore, it was so bad I wasn't supposed to leave my home because I'm vulnerable. And I know you guys worked really hard on the budget, but you guys have got to take a second look at that and start setting money aside, because we don't know what's happening next. And it is my opinion, and I know it's only my opinion, and my kids say, oh, Mom, that's a great idea, but we'll never do that. And so I know that elected officials sort of have the same answer. Oh, good idea, but we'll never do that. But I'm counting on you to do that. Thank you now.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Mr. Heger?
Good evening, Phil Heger, Heger Land Use. There's a rumor that you might be voting on the Region 4 plan tonight, so I won't have any comments related to that. I do want to commend all of you for the time and the manner in which you have dealt with the most recent region plan in these chambers, as well as the two preceding, and I have great confidence that you'll do the same with the remainder. I do also want to recognize the tremendous work of the OPZ staff led by Christina Pompa, Cindy Carrier, Eric Ketterling, Jessica Levy, and Erica Chapman. And none of this would be also possible without the great work of your own council staff, particularly Kaylee Schultz. So it's, in these sometimes contentious debates and discussions, a lot of things get said and there's a lot of criticisms get levied at different people. And it's not often enough, I think, that we recognize the tremendous accomplishments of so many people who make these accomplishments possible. So just wanted to come by tonight and spread a little cheer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This panel is dismissed. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak at invitation to audience, which are about items not on the printed agenda? We'll start at my right here. Ma'am?
May I let her go first because mine.
Okay, just want to be clear, this is not on the printed agenda tonight, right?
That's right.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jennifer Finn, and I'm here to discuss the proposed rowing site at Homeport Farms Park, which is the subject of 2 articles that came out today, one in the Capital Gazette and another in Annapolis Creative. Our community has appeared before you many times over the past several years to voice our concerns about the rowing center at Homeport Farms Park. We believe it would lead to environmental degradation and runs counter to the deed restrictions and conservation easement that are layered on the property. Last week, the county executive called a listening session with our community and the many paddlers who consider Homeport Farm Park to be their favorite paddling spot. He wanted to hear our concerns, and we met with him on July 9th. The concerns we spoke about include the environmental impact of development and use for rowing practice at the park, which is entirely in the resource conservation area of Church Creek, the most delicate tributary of the South River, that it would cut off public access to the park since the usable acreage is small and the accessible waterfront is tiny. It would increase traffic at Route 2 to have 80 rowers making U-turns to come to the park during rush hour. That the 100-foot floating piers would constrict the ability of others to move across Church Creek, which is narrow, and that ADA access is not possible at that park down to the water since it has steep slopes and there are conservation easements disallowing any topographical changes. I'm pleased to report that at the end of our meeting, the county executive told us that our stories had impacted him. He said he was glad he had listened to what you had to say, as he hadn't heard it before. He shared our environmental concerns, agreeing that Homeport Farms Park is not the best site for this, in our opinion, an untenable site. The county executive said there are other sites he had in mind that he believed would work better after meeting with us. And we're grateful that he took the time to listen, that he understands and shares our concerns, and that he will be looking elsewhere now for a rowing site. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Laura Homick, 27 Homeport Drive, Edgewater, Maryland. I'm reading a statement on behalf of Mary Alter, who is medically unable to be here concerning the park. Approximately 15 years ago, while I was chairman of the Planning and Advisory Board, representatives of Parks and Rec, along with members of the rowing club, came to a board meeting to request permission to leave boats and equipment at the park on a permanent basis. They also wanted a paved ramp to launch the boats and storage for their boats during the winter. The other 6 board members had no knowledge of the park or its history, so I addressed the meeting, informing them about the park's dedication ceremony, which I had attended. I also informed them that I had a copy of the park's deed and gave them a brief summary. The theme of the dedication emphasized this would be a passive park. A gravel drive would run from the entrance of the park to a parking area for about 25 to 30 cars. A gravel walkway would run from the parking area to the water. There would be no hard pavement anywhere. There was a possibility that sand would be brought in to create a cleaner entrance to the water. The north side of the park would have more trees added and possibly a walking trail to enjoy nature, especially nesting birds. The south would be left with the existing grassy area for picnicking or walking. The west would have a small area for garden plots. A well could be drilled and a hand pump installed, but gardeners would bring their own equipment for water. There would be no sewer, plumbing, or electricity in the park, no ball fields, no music events, all in keeping with the passive theme. The rep from Parks and Rec had a brief moment with the members of the rowing club and then told the board that they were withdrawing the request and thanked us for our time. Most of what she said has come to be. I've seen that over the last 15 years, and we don't want it to change. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Good evening. I'm Barry White, 2224 Mulberry Hill Road. I applied for a building permit in 1978 to live on Mulberry Hill. We appreciate the approval and the change from R1 to R2 by the County Council, and along with Dr. Randy Rao and others from this descendant community, we learned a lot about the process. One is the need to increase the level of civic involvement and meet more frequently with our legislators about matters of importance to our community, as well as to encourage them to reach out to us as the legislators for our district. Second, we appreciate the effort of the Office of Planning and Zoning. There are many contributions of our ancestors from Mulberry Hill, including Charles and Margaret Stansbury purchased 7 acres of land in 1871. Reverend Charles Green, first African-American supervisor at the Naval Academy. My grandmother, Prudence Johnson, African-American woman and store owner in Mulberry Hill, 1930 up to 1962. Elijah Johnson, my great-grandfather, he was a trustee for the Brownswoods Colored School in 1904, before it became a Rosewall School around 1925. There's been a host of pastors, nurses, educators, and engineers, home builders, chemists, housewives, and others who were employed at the Naval Academy. The 2040 plan states that our goals, policies, and strategies, increasing the diversity and affordability of housing, investing in historically underserved communities, and building resilience to flooding have become even more important over the time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Matthew Haggerty, District 5 intern. I would like to take this time to thank all the council members, council administration, staff, and legislative aides. Tonight is my final meeting as the District 5 intern. I'm so honored and grateful to have worked with each of you through my time here. And while I'm sad that my time with this council must come to an end, I'm immensely grateful for the experiences and opportunities that I've had. Truly, my internship with the County Council could not have occurred at a more opportune time. During my 6-month tenure, I've experienced the Council as the final fiscal authority for Anne Arundel County with the FY25 budget, witnessed the general legislative affairs and operations of the Council, and participated in the comprehensive rezoning process, a once-in-a-decade power and responsibility of the Council. A lecture hall at the University of Maryland pales in comparison to the knowledge that I have gained in these chambers. I've also gained a deep respect for the Anne Arundel County Council as individuals and as a body. Because while there are many disagreements on policy issues, each member of this team brings a level of dedication, care, and commitment to this office. I've seen this care for our county, our constituents, and ultimately our neighbors, exemplified by the Honorable Councilwoman Fiedler and her incredible legislative aide, Pam Scarborough, who, time and again, have gone above and beyond to make sure the community they represent is informed, involved, and most importantly, heard. It is this relationship with the community and the community's involvement with the council that separates the county council from other county entities or other legislative bodies. Here, we have a unique group of people, constituents, staff, and elected officials who all care deeply about the continued success of our community and are willing to go above and beyond for it. To conclude, I thank the constituents and everyone here at the Council for allowing me the opportunity to participate in the great work that is done here. While my next life steps take me outside of the Anne Arundel County government, I will strive to internalize and live out all that I have gained from my time here, especially striving to bring the same level of dedication, care, and commitment to wherever my road leads. Thank you.
Thank you. This panel is dismissed. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak at invitation to audience? Are they all leaving? At this time, invitation to audience is now closed. Is there any item any council member would like to place on the agenda at this time? Ms. Rodman, you're going first. Ms. Fiedler, and then Mr. Smith.
So Mr. Haggerty just spoke to his time interning in the 5th District. I'd like to just take a moment to recognize him. I'm going to come down on the floor. So when I was Matthew's young age, I had very little interest, shockingly enough, in government. So for him to not only come on as the very first intern for District 5, but to jump in and have such a level of interest as a young college student, he really was a part of the District 5 team for budget and for comprehensive rezoning. The updated chart that you all received in the newsletter, if you received it for District 5, that had very thorough details on amendments for Region 5, that was all his brainchild. He, as a constituent, knows how much the 5th District is interested in getting as much information as possible, so he put it together, and I'm just so appreciative of his time here. And with that, Matthew, we thank you for your dedication, commitment, and excellence of service in representing District 5 as our college intern from January to July 2024. It is clear that you have made the most of this opportunity, and we are grateful to have had the pleasure of you being an essential part of our team. We wish you much success in your future endeavors. And I will just say, Matthew's official time ended when he graduated from college in May, but he asked and went to his advisor to extend his period of time with us because he wanted to get through comprehensive rezoning. So that's just the level of dedication he showed. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
So I'll bring up Luke. Go ahead and stand up. Luke didn't have the Academy Awards statue there, so. But I am grateful for, he's signed on a few months ago, probably like maybe 2 months ago, and his time isn't over. The problem is we have a recess here, and so the next council meeting that we're going to have in September, he will be back in school. And so we wanted to make sure we recognize his efforts to serve the community. And what all the council members up there will tell you, that it is one of the hardest jobs in the nation is to serve the community, because everybody has individual wants and desires. He's seen some of that firsthand. We get yelled at times, and we understand that it's a necessity. But we represent the face of the institution that's creating an impact on that individual or that family. And so we shouldn't take any of this personal, but we have to be responsive to that. And I'm grateful he witnessed that, so that he learns that no matter how hard life is, someone else's problems or their issues are always going to be important, no matter how small they are. And so we strive to accommodate everybody as best we can. We don't get it perfect, but we sure as hell try. And so, but having folks like him aid us in accomplishing that, I'm just grateful that we have people who want to help us be the best version of ourselves. And so for Luke Bassett, we have this citation as well. Bassett. I'm thinking of Angela Bassett. That's though he doesn't look like Angela Bassett, but we did have the Academy Award down here. So Bassett. And it reads, "We thank you for choosing to intern with us. Your positive attitude and work ethics have made you an essential part of our team. We are grateful for your hard work and dedication, and we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors." And I hope your father is, if he's watching this, he's like, "Oh man, I'm going to punch Pete when I see him." But thank you for all your hard work. Thank you.
Ms. Rodbian?
So this is a bit of an unusual evening. It's been quite a while since we've had citations at a meeting at all, and now we have 3. So I'm honored to present this final one. I'm just going to read the citation, and you'll understand why I felt this was so important to recognize the individual who stepped up here. So this citation is presented to Jeff Norman in recognition of a selfless act that speaks volumes about the essence of Jeff Norman's character and serves as a model we all should follow. In the early morning hours of July 4th, 2024, Mr. Norman was driving in downtown Annapolis when he encountered a motionless body in the roadway of Rao Boulevard. His unhesitating choice to stop and help the individual undoubtedly prevented a tragic loss. In a world where pain and tragedy often get the most attention, we are fortunate to have individuals like Mr. Norman in our community, whose actions remind us of the highest ideals of kindness and compassion. His action not only saved a life, but serves as a reminder that there is goodness in the world, and each of us can choose to bring light. Thank you so much, Mr. Norman, and if you wouldn't mind coming up and posing for a few pictures. And I think it's safe to share that the individual is well on their way to recovery, which might have had a totally different outcome. So thank you so much.
Okay. May I have a motion that the partial reading of any bill, resolution, amendment to a bill or resolution or minutes constitutes the reading of the whole?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Madam Secretary, please read the minutes of July 1st, 2024.
The County Council meeting was called to order by Chair Pickard at 6 p.m. It was opened with an invocation given by Ms. Hummer and was followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes of July 1st, 2024?
Rodby, so moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. The minutes of July 1, 2024 stand approved as read. Madam Secretary, please read the titles of the bills to be introduced this evening.
Bill number 6524, an ordinance concerning subdivision and development, adequate school facilities, school utilization chart. Bill number 6624, an ordinance concerning approval of the amended and restated lease between Anne Arundel County, Maryland and Wiley Bates School, LLC. Bill number 6724, an ordinance concerning crimes, civil offenses and fines, crimes, sale and use of leaf blowers or vacuums.
Madam Secretary, please read the titles of the resolutions to be introduced this evening.
Resolution number 3024, resolution confirming appointment to the Board of Trustees for the Anne Arundel County Retiree Health Benefits Trust. Resolution number 3124, resolution supporting the application to the Main Street, Maryland affiliate program by the Department of Housing and Community Development, the Department, and the local administration of the Main Street, Maryland affiliate program by Anne Arundel Economic Development Corporation for the Glen Burnie Town Center in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Resolution number 3224, resolution denouncing violence against elected officials and candidates for elected office.
Thank you. May I have a motion to suspend Rule 5-106 so that resolution numbers 31-24 and 32-24 may be voted on this evening?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll to suspend Rule 5-106 this evening.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Volke.
Aye.
Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Motion to suspend Rule 5-106 is passed.
Thank you. Resolutions number 31-24 and 32-24 will be voted on later this evening, along with our appointment resolution 30-24. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 58-24 as amended.
Bill number 5824, an ordinance concerning the issuance, sale, and delivery of Anne Arundel County, Maryland general obligation bonds and bond anticipation notes.
Mr. Hunt, this is an administration bill. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me at the table, I have Billy Penley from the Office of Finance, as well as David Gregory, our bond counsel, and Lori Blair Klossmeyer from the Office of Law. So Bill 5824 was heard at the last council meeting. It's the annual bond ordinance concerning the issuance, sale, and delivery of the county's general obligation bonds and bond anticipation notes. It was amended at the last council meeting to increase the amount to reflect changes that were made in the capital budget to the final amount of $1,522,594,123, which is an increase of $3.889 million. We're happy to answer any questions and would urge a favorable vote. Thank you.
Is there any discussion from my colleagues? We will now open the public hearing on Bill number 58-24 as amended. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
We have no one signed up ahead of time. If there's anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak on Bill 58-24, you may come up at your leisure. Seeing no movement in the audience, the public hearing on Bill 58-24 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 58-24 as amended.
Bill number 5824, an ordinance concerning the issuance, sale, and delivery of Anne Arundel County, Maryland general obligation bonds and bond anticipation notes.
Is there any further discussion or comments at this time? Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 58-24 as amended.
Ms. Ledbetter?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Volke?
Aye.
Ms. Hummer?
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 5824 as amended has passed.
Thank you very much for being here this evening. At least you got to see some citations presented.
That was nice.
Thank you for your time. Madam Secretary, please read the titles of Bill number 27-24 as amended and Bill number 28-24 as amended.
Bill number 2724, an ordinance concerning General Development Plan, Region 4 Plan. Bill number 2824, an ordinance concerning Comprehensive Zoning, Region 4.
Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me, I have Cindy Carrier and Eric Ketterling from the Office of Planning and Zoning, and Lori Blair Klossmeyer from the Office of Law. Bills 2724 and 2824 are the Region 4 Plan and its comprehensive zoning bill. This is part of the implementation of Plan 2040. It has been a long road to get here. I appreciate everyone's work and collaboration on this, and I'm going to turn it over to Cindy for some comments. Thank you.
Hi, Cindy Carrier with the Office of Planning and Zoning. Christina Pompa could not be with us this evening, but we wanted to take a few minutes to express our gratitude for those who have been involved in this 3-year-long planning process for Region 4. So first, the county executive and his staff, they have been supportive of this project throughout the process. The Region 4 planning team, Eric Ketterling is the project manager. His team consists of Jessica Levy and Erica Chapman. They have put in an extraordinary amount of time doing community outreach, conducting research, answering phone calls and emails, drafting the plan, working with the Stakeholder Advisory Committee. And they went above and beyond for this project, and we really appreciate that. As did the behind-the-scenes staff for planning and zoning, the research and GIS section who created the region hub sites that have kept all of us informed of the process, as well as the public-facing web maps that everyone has been able to use and comment, and certainly provide more comments than we would have received throughout this process if we hadn't had, or if we had just had public meetings out in the communities. We also want to thank our sister agencies. They typically will interact with us more at the beginning of the process. They provide their expertise in helping us draft the background reports, but they also come out to the Stakeholder Advisory Committee meetings, educating them and the public, listening to concerns and helping us to draft strategies. And they do all of this. It's really outside. Their support of our project is outside of their normal work program. We wanted to give a special thank you to the Office of Law. They help us throughout the process, answering our questions and providing counsel, but they get deeply involved once the plan is drafted. They proof it. They've helped draft the amendments. They've given advice on the amendments, as well as helping with zoning sign issues. And for the Region 4 process, between both bills, there were 82 amendments, and that's a heavy lift. We really appreciate their expertise and counsel and work on this project. Over the course of the planning process, we've heard from many, many people, whether it be through phone calls, emails, filling out our surveys, coming out to testify here, coming to planning board, attending community events. And it's well over 1,000 pieces of input that we've received. And we feel like that has really contributed greatly to this product and has really enhanced the plan. And we know that we can do better, as mentioned, a few minutes ago, in getting more voices, but we really appreciate those who've come out, and especially the end of the process where we didn't hear those voices in the beginning of the process or throughout the process. We want to thank the Stakeholder Advisory Committee. They met over 26 times over a 2-year period. They had a lot of thoughtful dialogue, drafting strategies, and it was clear that they cared about their community and gave careful consideration for recommendations on land use and zoning. And we really appreciated that they were civil with one another, even though they had opposing views. We appreciate the Planning Advisory Board. They had to review and hear testimony under a compressed schedule for all 3 region plans at once, but they still took the time to hold an additional hearing for the voices that had concerns about the Pasadena Golf Course property. We'd like to thank the council administrative staff who coordinated with us daily during the legislative process. And we'd like to also extend our appreciation to the council for their role that they have in this process. Chair Pickard, Vice Chair Hummer, and members of the council. Having been through this process of trying to balance Plan 2040 goals and strategies with the public input that we receive is difficult. There's a lot of competing values, and we understand how difficult your role is in making some of these decisions. We especially appreciate Council Members Volke and Fiedler. You took the time to work with Office of Planning and Zoning during this legislative process. While we didn't always agree on the amendments proposed, your collaboration allowed OPZ to understand the amendments, even though we couldn't support some of them. You put a tremendous amount of work into this process, and we witnessed how you collaborated tirelessly with applicants and your community members through the entire council process. We appreciate your scrutiny of the draft zoning maps, the questions that you asked, and your willingness to learn about the recommendations that OPZ made. So thank you.
Is there any discussion from colleagues at this time? We'll now open the joint public hearing on Bill 27-24 and Bill 28-24. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
Yes, Madam Chair. We received 2 pieces for Bill 2724 and 1 piece for Bill 2824, which were shared with the council, added to the record, and posted to the website.
Thank you. We do have 4 people signed up ahead of time. I will call their names, but we do have 6 seats, so if there are others in the audience that are here to testify at this public hearing around the Region 4 plan, you can fill in the seats. Tiffany Renee Briscoe, Cynthia Pugh Givens, Elizabeth Rossborg, Reverend Stephen Tillett. Oh. If there are others in the audience that are here to testify, you're welcome to come up and fill the 4 chairs so we can keep testimony rolling tonight. All right, I realize not everybody is here, so I'm Tiffany or Cynthia? Cynthia, you may go first.
Thank you. I'm Cynthia Pugh Givens, 105 South Ritters Lane, Owings Mills, Maryland. I represent over 60 heirs of 1401 and 1403 Shottown Road. So I'm speaking on their behalf. Bills 2724 and 2824, yes, I am back. We're back at it again because I want to make sure that you understand the impact that RLD would have and has on our properties where we're restricted. We have 2 parcels, a total of 14.067 acres. And I say 0.067 because that's what we pay taxes on, 0.067. They talked previously about conservation and preservation on these lands. They don't want to take trees down because of the owls and the deer, and well, we know that, okay? But was it conservation and preservation when they were destroying trees on our property, locking us out of our property, because that's what not neighbors, that's what I call them, not neighbors, that's what they did, okay? And we had to fight to be able to access our own property. There's a problem with that. So that's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to our heritage, to our legacy. Do we not count in conservation, in preservation? Don't we count? I have deeds, 1913, 1897, from John Hammond to my second great grandparents, Benjamin and Mary Hammond Griffin. Yes, Hammond. They were both Civil War soldiers. This is a tradition that's passed on. We all serve. But this is what they deserve? I don't think so.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to go with the folks that signed up in advance, Ms. Rosberg, and then we'll start with the...
My name is Elizabeth Rosberg, and I'm representing Arnold Preservation Council tonight, P.O. Box 852, Arnold, Maryland 21012. I'll get right to our request. And I want you all to know that I'm reading this from a piece of paper that was printed before I came this evening. How ironic. County Executive Pittman, APC requests you not veto Amendment 13 and 14, which gives special dispensation to Shottown Road. If you were to veto these amendments, immediate questions would arise about the meaning of legacy status and the established planning and zoning process for all land in Anne Arundel County. APC is especially concerned about the potential effects of your veto. I live on a legacy piece of property. It's been in my family for 78 years, 4 generations. The zoning of my property, without me filing an application, is proposed to be changed tonight with the adoption of this bill from OS and R2 to RLD. Yet my property is not considered for a veto. What about other legacy areas on the Broadneck Peninsula, such as Brown Roads, Brown Woods, and Old Baltimore and Annapolis Boulevard? And there are plenty of others. APC proposes that we compromise and work together, that we make it happen. Instead of changing and abrogating the established process for one road in the county, let's change the code. Let's work so that the Pittman legacy property in South County and the legacy properties of the entire county have limited, and we absolutely mean limited, opportunities to ensure that the owners of legacy properties can raise their family on legacy land.
Thank you. We'll start here at my right. Go ahead, ma'am. I want to make sure everybody understands the buzzer means your 2 minutes is over.
Good evening. My name is Kesha Ricks. I live at 1462 Shottown Road. My grandmother was born 1912. Her great-grandmother, who left her that home in the late 1800s, was a freed slave. I'm the third granddaughter that the property has gone through. When my grandmother subdivided to leave it to our family, the property was zoned R1. I would like for it to go back to R1. We're not asking for an upzone. We're not asking for anything additional. We're just asking for it to go back to where it came from, which was R1, that allows us to be able to build one home, an acre. We're not asking for a community. We're not asking for much of anything. We're not asking for R2. We're just asking for us to be able to take the older homes and to be able to develop newer homes without having to compromise what we've already been given. So I'm asking to not have these, to continue to veto these bills, but to allow us, the legacies, to be able to develop and to be able to leave our properties to our legacies, because I don't understand why there would be any opposition. I don't understand that. There's new people who have moved to Chi-Town, and we've compromised roads, right-of-ways, easements. We've been bullied with most of those things as well. And so we're only asking for what was left to us. That was, for some reason, before our ignorance at that time, it wasn't communicated to us. No one communicated that they would drop us down to RLD. So again, I'm here and I'm asking for us to be able, to be able to leave my kids who went to Broad Neck and their legacies, to be able to build and continue to continue the legacy that we were left. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
I don't even know if the mic could come over. My name is Mary Daniels. I live at 1473 Chi-Town Road. I had put in an application for my property at 1475 Chi-Town. The part that you guys wanted to downzone to RLD is currently OS. I asked that you give it an R5 because that would have been consistent with both of my lots, because my property sat right behind Whispering Woods. Going through this process, I've gotten to the point that if you stick me with OS, it's fine. But my cousins, they deserve R1. They deserve to bring family back to their land. I don't think the new neighbors, as I call them, who may not be here tonight, understand that they're living on land of our ancestors, that our ancestors broke their backs to have that land. Now, some of them got it from tax sale or whatever. It's okay. We, as Black people, we're very welcoming into our communities. But we welcome people in the community, then they want to change the culture of the community. They want to come in and tell us what we cannot do. It is beyond wrong to not allow R1 to be restored. It's not like we're asking for an upzone. We're asking to restore R1. Take away the RLD restriction. It's very important that legacy lives on. It's important. Everyone thinks it's a handout, it's a gift. No, it's a responsibility and an obligation when we inherit this property. So we have to follow in the footsteps of our ancestors to make sure that those who are coming behind us will also have a legacy. My 13-year-old granddaughter is here today. She won't be up here chitter-chatting like Emily, because she doesn't understand this is an adult proceeding. And it's very important that everyone understands that children don't understand at this point, but a small grandchild like Kesha has an understanding of what her grandmother did for her. I was fortunate that my uncle left property that I'm living on today. I couldn't do that without having that property as equity to build my home. So since I'm speaking for me and my sister, I'm going to inherit another 2 minutes because it's important. My sister's on the property with me. So also, excuse me, ma'am, it's Barbara is elderly. She's not coming forward. 2 and 2 is 4. Respectfully, please let me speak. That's 4 minutes. Okay?
Well, 4 minutes. Could you wind
3. Let me just get 2.
Okay.
And it's very, very disheartening to have neighbors that you have welcomed into the community to oppose you with little to no understanding of the history of the land. I can tell you, I've heard a neighbor say, hey, I've been in Chi-Town for 20 years. Ronnie has never once asked me about the history of Chi-Town. If you are white and you come into a historically Black community, please, we're there to educate you. Please ask. we're okay with it. Then maybe you would understand why we think that you guys are bullying us to give us RLD and not restoring us to R1. We need R1 so family can come back. One of the neighbors was bold enough to say, well, 7 or 8 coming back, wow, that's way too many. Way too many what? Way too many black people? Way too many cars? Way too many what? We didn't say, oh, stop, way too many white people. We welcome them. They should welcome us. We want what we are due. So please restore us back to R1. Chi-Town has lost its peace and harmony going through this whole rezoning thing. To be honest with you, I hate to even go up and down the road. You see your neighbors, they turn the other way as if they don't see you. It's become a very hostile environment, and that's what not Chi-Town is nothing like that. It's peace and harmony. Those of you who've been there and driven through it, you know that it is, and we just needed to be restored to that. So respectfully, Chairperson, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am?
Yeah, my name is Evangeline Reading, and I have property on 457 Broadneck Road. Speaking about legacy, my great grandfather, he purchased the property in let me see, I got it written down here. He purchased the property in 1882, and in December of this year, that'll be 142 years that we had this property in our family. It's on Broadneck Road, and when he bought the property, he bought the property for his family to grow, multiply, have children, pass it down as inheritance and everything, and that's what we've been doing. We have not sold our property for commercial or anything like that. It's just for our family. I have 2 acres down there, and I would like to have it subdivided so I could share with the 2 children that I have. They both could have an acre apiece. You holding us back does not give them that privilege to do that. My ancestors are also the ancestor of Mr. and Mrs. Parker. We are a family. I got my brother living on Broadneck Road, my sister living on Broadneck Road. I got 1, 2, 3 cousins living on Broadneck Road. We are keeping the property in the family. We're not selling it to anybody or anything like that. Back in 1952, the property was agriculture. Okay, in March of 1973, Bill 173-72 changed it to R1. It was R1 until February the 13th, 1989, Bill 7688 changed it to RLD. On March 26, 2002, Bill 320 kept it as RLD. We would like to have the property changed back to R1. It's a given. It was given to us. You're taking it away from us by keeping it as RLD. I don't think it's fair. It's unjust. We have...
Thank you, ma'am.
Already? My 2 minutes is up?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I hope you got the gist of everything.
We did. Thank you very much. Sir?
Yes. Okay, good afternoon. Good evening, rather. My name is Rodney Parker, Sr., of 473 Broadneck Road in Annapolis, in the Broadneck Peninsula of Region 4 Comprehensive Planning Area. My family is living on property that has been in our family for well over 100 years, the same as my cousin. My wife was born and raised on this property for over 70 years. I am here to make a statement for the record on Bills 2724 and 2824 on Amendments 15 and 16 on the Region 4 Comprehensive Plan and the discriminatory process that has occurred. Our property is the corner parcel at Broadneck Road and Middletown Road. Our property is currently zoned RLD. All the properties on our eastern boundary are zoned R2. This rezoning change was done without our knowledge. When we learned late in the hearing process about this omission, we contacted the Office of Planning and Zoning and submitted our application. While this planning process was occurring in the past year, we were never notified by the county that the zoning on our property would change from R1 to RLD. and what impact this change would have on our financial values. At the same time, however, there was a different level of communication given to other owners to downzone their properties because of the desire to preclude us from using our legacy properties to fulfill our need for family housing. In reality, because of the adjacent properties on our eastern boundary, which are zoned R2, there is a precedent to have our property and other properties on Broadneck Road and Middletown Road be classified as R2 or R1 zoning and not downsized to RLD. Taking this step would ensure that the plan's goals of consistency, I've heard that word used, consistency in the zoning policy exists. In conclusion, the R2 zoning classification would allow our descendants to prosper on our land for many generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This panel is dismissed. Is there anyone else? As we have 6 seats. Yes, I just want to fill the seats. Yes, of course. Yes.
I need a lot of room.
Okay, sir.
My name is Marvin Reading. Here to the right, I've known him all my life. Well, I've known him before he was born. I knew his mother. And along with my cousin and what my sister said, I think she got the date wrong. It was 1881 that the champions that came out of St. Margaret's related to the Pettibones, both white and black, lived on that property. Both before it was Thomas, which was a cousin of the white side. And we've been there well over 200 years on the property that I was born on. Wasn't allowed to come into Annapolis, be born in the hospital. Blacks had to be born outside the hospital. Miss Mary was my midwife that born me in the house with both white father and black mother. This is more than a legacy. It's been a part of our life. And the fact of the matter is, I was a gentleman that went around and pointed to all the council people years ago, long before you got here, and said that they made our property slums so the rich white folks could come in and buy the property very cheap, like they did downtown Annapolis. Soon as they got the blacks out, it went for $6,000, $7,000, and $8,000 per house, per property. And then as soon as the blacks got out, it was called, guess what? It was colonial. They gave it all kinds of names, and the price went up. 65 to 70% of downtown Annapolis was owned by blacks. In my neighborhood, the whole neighborhood, after slavery, was given to the blacks and the champions that lived on that property together for well over 200 years. The fact of the matter is, the curves, the sidewalks stopped at the black communities. They continue down Broadneck Road after they passed us. It's more than just legacy. It's called racism by government. They stole the beach. Carr's Beach was black. You know what's on it now? Sparrows Beach, county sewer treatment plants. Every community that owned by blacks or where blacks was in, they were called Town Neck, Broad Neck, Tick Neck. All these names identified us. And if it hadn't been for a decent white man by the name of Herman Inneman, along with Pascal, that gave me a building permit, we wouldn't even been able to build on our own property.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We'll start here, ma'am. State your name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes.
So my name is Doris Anthony, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Now you might say, Atlanta, Georgia, what are you doing here? What I'm doing here is I live in Shirleyville Road, and I wasn't going to testify today. I just came to see what was going on. But when I hear other people talk so much stuff, and I have to go fast because I only have 2 minutes. We get it. There was racism in this country. It still is. We get Anne Arundel County is not the best, but it's striving. We get that there's historical legacy of discrimination and everything that people said. I don't disagree with that. But what we need not to do is go back and keep digging up dirt as if because there's 6 Caucasians and 1 African American, I'm not trying to identify who you are in that respective, but let's not guilt trip. There's one lady, when I was looking on the Zoom, she said, let's make it white, not right. Like, come on. Let's start over. Yes, this system is broken. This is new to me. This system is so broken. I didn't get into the last minute, but these guilt trips of legacy and I'm black and this needs to go and what I used to have, I know that's true. It is. But I don't know how to fix it either. But just changing one person, not all black people want R2, R5, R1. Some of us want RLD. We're not monolithic. So just because you see a group of African Americans come and say, hey, my legacy, hey, I want R1, it's not all of us. We have a lot of elderly people who can't come out this light. One of the broken thing is you start at 7, you don't end till 11:30. How can seniors come out? I mean, the system is broken. That's all I can say.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir?
Hi, my name is William Stansbury. I live on Broadneck Road. I have property on Shottown Road. I planned to put 2 houses there, one for my son and one for my daughter. But back in '89, I was changed over from R1 to RLD, and I didn't even know anything about it until a little bit later. But I just want it to go back like it used to be, just R1. I mean, I only have 2 acres. I don't have a large property, I don't have a large piece of land, but with 2 acres, I could build 2 houses. And right now, RLD, I can only put one, I can only keep that 1 house there. That's not fair. I got 2 kids. I want both of them to have a home. They can't live together, so I want them to have their own home. But I just wish things would go back to like it used to be. I'm finished. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Marcus Day. I'm a part of this legacy land thing that we're speaking on. This is what I want to say, and it's going to be short and sweet. Yes, we all know the system is broken. We know there's been racism in this country, and it still is. But if we want to work forward and get through all that, let's start by giving people who deserve to have what was given to them their stuff. Then we can start working on how we move past. Can't move forward if you keep giving the same bad stuff and things happening to generation after generation after generation after generation upon generation of people who continue to get the short end of the stick. How we gonna move forward until we start doing that? You taking something from people, me, actually, that was given to us by our ancestors. So until we start doing that, well, not even until, how about we start there? And then, yeah, I have biracial kids. I have biracial family. We love all. We love all. Trust me, I have no racist bone in my body. But yeah, we need to start doing right by the people who have been done wrong so we can move forward. And that can start right here today. If y'all just do what you should do, or do the right thing, I should say, and zone this land the way that it should be, and the way that they want it to be, the way that it was given to us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
Yes. My name is Linnell Sedgwick, and I live on 1460 and 1450 on Shottown Road. It's been a long time coming. I lived there all my life, and I even watch all the kids there. I have childcare there. I've been in business for 20 years. I even watch Emily. And to watch the kids grow, to watch our family, our ancestors, to live where we are today, not too many people can say that. I am grateful, even standing here, to fight what belongs to us from the very beginning. Back in the 1800s, it's been a long time. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of y'all. There's no racism, there's no, we love everybody. Even the people that came in there, Chi-Town, but it's not the same. They want to divide, they want to take, they want to bully, and I'm exhausted. I have to put cameras around my house, which I never did before. Never. People breaking into my car, my daycare van, I never had to go through all of that. Matter of fact, you could leave your door unlocked. You didn't have to worry about anything. You see deers in the morning. You hear the owl at night. Simple things. And we're grateful for it. But it's just what already belongs to us should be with us. I don't understand why it had to be divided. We weren't informed. I'm still paying taxes on 2 different lots and finding out that, trying to add on to my house, we're finding out that the engineer informed us that it's all in one. And I'm like, how? I just got the paperwork saying it's 2 separate lots, And it's like, no, it's in one. I'm like, when did that happen?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson.
Julie Johnson, I was not going to testify tonight because I don't feel that I'm one of the most qualified witnesses. You have all of these people here who have lived this, the incredible centuries of abuse. And I thought, surely this group was modern and that you would understand that what has happened is just unconscionable. When I taught school, you guys have heard me testify before. My department chairman wouldn't give me books. Books. You want books for your students? I'm not buying books for your students. You want books for your students, you buy them yourselves, etc. And then she told me the reason she was so mad at me, and I asked, what can I do to straighten things out between us? She said, you don't treat the black kids right. You treat them just like the white kids, and it makes me sick. So I left the room in tears. It took me a month of nightmares to go to the assistant principal who supervised us, who rejected my comments. I went to that supervisor, I went to the principal. The principal leaped out of his seat and he said, you know the kind of trouble this could cause. If word of this ever leaves this office, you will be terminated that very day. You will be charged with insubordination and it will be your job. Do you understand? You will not have a job after that. And then I've left out the part about the veiled threats that the Ku Klux Klan might come and visit me and my family. Only presented by the lovely white folks. After a faculty meeting in a room I'd never seen before, never saw again. But I know I'm not the only one who has experienced white folks being filled with fury and racism.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. This panel is dismissed. Mr. Tillett, you had signed up in advance. Reverend, are you here to testify on these bills? And is Tiffany Renee Briscoe now in the chambers as well? Okay. This is Mr. Tillett, Reverend Tillett, excuse me. Hold on. This is an opportunity, if anyone is in the chambers, to continue the public testimony on these 2 bills. You can come up and fill these chairs as well. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. Stephen Tillett, pastor at Asbury Broadneck United Methodist Church, co-chair of ACT and Arundel Connecting Together. This morning, my wife and I took our daughter away to sleepaway camp. And my wife had planned for this evening for us to have a date night. You see where I am. You've heard the testimony of others who are living it and experiencing it. And I don't have much to add, but what I would do is ask you to put yourselves in the shoes of those who testified. And how would you feel if your great-grandparents or your great-great-grandparents, right out of brutal chattel slavery, put together their nickels and dimes to buy property so that they could have a home to build for their family and then pass down to their descendants, and that you have been on your land for over 100 years, 125, 150 years, or maybe even more. And then you have new folks come in, and all of a sudden they want to do things their way. They don't care about you. They don't care about what you want. They want to do things their way. How would you feel? And that's what's happening here. So basically what we're asking you to do is to be unlike councils before you who allowed some of these offenses to continue, and do the right thing by the people who live there, by the people who have lived there, want to continue to live there, want to build houses on their land so that they can pass it on to their children and their grandchildren. And there's not a reason on God's green earth they should not be allowed to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The public hearing on bills number 27-24 and bill 28-24 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the titles of bill number 27-24 as amended and bill number 28-24 as amendment.
Bill number 2724, an ordinance concerning General Development Plan, Region 4 Plan. Bill number 2824, an ordinance concerning Comprehensive Zoning, Region 4.
Ms. Fiedler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to take a moment to comment to those who have testified this evening. Some of you I'm seeing for the first time. Some of you I've known since I was a teenager. This was a challenging area of our district to work on. On the one side of the forested area, you had Shirleyville, who did not want any upzoning. On the other side, you had Shottown Road, who had a variety of opinions. There were landowners who did not apply for a zoning change. And it was your stories that came to me that just solidified to me I was not going to support zoning changes if property owners did not initiate them, because I think it's imperative that we do not repeat what we have in the past. I retained split zoning on Truck House Road, on Hill Road, because I didn't want the folks who live on those properties right now to come back to the council in 10 years and say, wait a minute, I had a plan to use that portion of my property because it was a higher zone and build on it, but the county council in 2024 took that away. I did not want that to happen, so I restored all of those. When it came to Shottown Road, there were property owners who did not want to rezone, and I had to stay as consistent. I know we talk about consistency, and respect that those folks did not want to upzone. So when I amended those property owners back to RLD, it put an area right down the center of the Shottown Road community into a rural residential area, which left the applicants who had applied in a low-density suburban category. And I asked at the time the Office of Law if that was a potential spot zoning issue, and the indication was because of the suburban versus rural that could be challenged as spot zoning. It was not an easy decision that evening, and I committed at that meeting to my colleagues to look at the residential zoning code and potentially amend it so that families can use the land that has been in their names for generations. legislation of that kind is not easy. There's a lot of opposition that we hear from the public whenever we're changing the zoning code to allow for nuanced uses. But this is a really critical area that we have to address. And I don't like that I have to tell you that we cannot amend the bill this evening. It has run the gamut and its lifespan. But my commitment to my colleagues and to the community is to continue to look at this. I sat down with the Parker family, 473 Broadneck Road, and we went through the history of their property. Your cousin across the street who testified this evening, it was a very similar scenario. When you took away all of the properties who did not request a zoning change, you were left with 3 sporadic properties that created a challenge and a legality issue, I would say. But to the Parker family, 473 Broadneck Road, I think you have an argument there, and we just ran out of time. I know that there was, we talked about the timing of Office of Planning and Zoning recommending a change to R1 when I had already the amendment to retain RLD, and then you all applied for R2. I think there was a solution somewhere in there, but we ran out of time. And I don't like saying that. So I'm committed to work with you all on ADU, reviewing the ADU legislation again, and do anything that I can to assist within the limits of the council authority. So thank you for coming out and sharing your stories. And I'm happy to meet with any community and discuss further whenever you'd like.
Mr. Volke.
Thank you. So I just want to say a couple general thank yous to the Office of Planning and Zoning. You guys have been extremely helpful in this process, so thank you for your kind remarks earlier. It has been a pleasure to work with you. I'm grateful for the time and energy that you've given us as we have worked through this and tried to get our heads around what we want to do in our districts. I'm grateful for some of the after hours things that you all have attended where we got some additional community input. I hope going forward as we do additional regions, maybe some of the things that we figured out, learned, did can be applied other places too. Ultimately, tough process, rezoning, you can't make everybody happy. Some people said to me, sometimes you just have to tell people no. I don't really like that, so I tried hard to try to find ways to say yes to certain things but no to other things, to find some sort of a compromise where nobody won everything and nobody lost everything. It was a fair, what I think is a fair resolution. That's important to me, and I thought that was important in the process. It was disheartening to me, I will say this, to read in the county executive's newsletter that he already is looking at things from this bill that this bill hadn't even passed yet, right? We're going to pass it tonight, but it hadn't even passed. And he's already telegraphing to people he's going to veto certain things that we did. I thought that was unfortunate. I would prefer to let this process play out and to let him see what the final product is before he makes those commitments. But certainly that's his prerogative. And then obviously that'll come back in front of us and we'll have to take votes on whether we're going to sustain or override those vetoes. But ultimately it is a tough process. God bless you. God bless you. You all right? There are a lot of just facets to every single one of these decisions. It's so interesting to hear the history of land, right? Because when you think about a piece of land, there's a lot to it. And I'm not going to speak to Shottown Road in Shirleyville. It's not my district. But even in my own district, there were plenty of places where there was a lot of history to the land that we had to look at to try to figure out what was the right answer for those particular properties and what was the right way to zone those properties and how should we move forward. And I think Councilwoman Fiedler did that a lot in her district as well, so I applaud her for that. But ultimately, I'm really proud of this product. I was much less thrilled about the general development plan years ago that we did, and I feel like this process has been extremely collaborative, and I thank you all for that and the way that you've worked with us to get this to a product that we can all support. Hopefully it'll be a 7-0 tonight, so thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the Office of Law, just a quick question. This comprehensive rezoning process, is it the totality of the 9 regions, or is it like a journey, and as soon as we pass a certain milestone, there's no going back, looking backwards at the milestones we just passed, Is it one of those, a bite at a time, or is it the entire road trip? And once that entire trip, before you get to the end of that, you can always go back and make changes along this trip. Define that. Can you define that?
I think I understand what you're saying. Okay. Lori Blair, Klassenar, Deputy County Attorney. So it's kind of both in a sense. So, comprehensive zoning is the entire county. So it's all 9 of these regions. And the county has chosen to bite off 9 different pieces of this. So as each one of those becomes effective, then that is, it can't really be revisited at that point, because the only way you can then change anything on the comprehensive zoning is if there's a mistake or a change in the character of the neighborhood or something like that. You can't just go back and pick a property and rezone it, because that is kind of the definition of spot zoning. So, once you do this process, you're pretty much stuck with each piece of it as those bills pass.
Okay, I'm just curious. Thank you.
Ms. Fiedler.
Thank you. It felt disingenuous to go after making comments right into things, so I wanted to give my colleagues some opportunity to chat. So I want to also give some credit where credit is due. This has been an extensive, lengthy, time-consuming process, but I think my colleague who shared Region 4 with me knows that the work that we put in was worth it sitting here today. I have to thank my aide, Pam Scarborough, who kept the non-region activity in District 5 going strong, in addition to our intern. I have to thank my colleague, Mr. Volke. When we received the list of properties that were either had applications attached or Office of Planning and Zoning was considering, it was one massive spreadsheet with Pasadena mixed in with Broadneck, and he did the awesome lift of separating it out into a tabbed Excel spreadsheet, which I love spreadsheets, and that was very helpful. The Stakeholder Advisory Council, the work that they put in 2 years ago, the members of the Planning Advisory Board, all the members who have participated in testimony either online or coming out here to multiple meetings. I know that these meetings are late. I know that you all waited till the end of the agenda at times, so thank you for participating. For Office of Planning and Zoning, you all have been great. We got into such a good rhythm. We had our meetings on Monday. We went right into our follow-up meeting on Tuesday to prep the amendments for the next meeting. You answered multiple questions. I repeated them, and you stuck with me and made sure that I got it. And you helped me do my job to the fullest extent, serving the 5th District. Christina Pampa, Cindy Carrier, Eric Kettling, and Jessica Levy, and of course the Office of Law, who had the lift of creating all 80+ amendments. Kelly Kenny, Pam Groves, Michelle Powers, those are the 3 that I worked with the most. We are only here today because of the collaborative effort, and I had some trepidation going into this, but here we are, and I am, for the most part, really proud of the product and our collaboration together, so thank you.
Mr. Hunt, I believe there's an amendment. Did you want to proceed
Madam
with that?
Chair, there is one amendment I wanted to make sure we got to before we call the roll on the bill.
We do have a technical amendment to Bill 27-24, and to not confuse the public, we can do a technical amendment and vote on, and then still vote on the bill tonight. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 38 to Bill 27-24.
Amendment number 38. This technical amendment corrects a charter citation.
That is exactly what this amendment does. It corrects a charter citation from 533A to 533B. We always like to have the correct citations.
Perfect. May I have a motion to adopt amendment number 38 to Bill 27-24?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll on technical amendment 38 to Bill 27-24.
Ms. Ledbetter?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Volke?
Aye.
Ms. Hummer?
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Radvian?
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 38 to Bill 27-24 has been adopted.
Is there any further discussion from the administration or my colleagues on either of these two bills or the region plan? Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 27-24 as amended.
Thank you. Ms. Ledbetter?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Volkey?
Aye.
Ms. Hummer?
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 2724 as amended has passed.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 28-24 as amended.
Ms. Ledbetter?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Volkey?
Aye.
Ms. Hummer?
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 2824 as amended has passed.
I did want to take a minute to just applaud everybody's efforts. Region 4 was a bit epic. But between the three regions, I think this council and the administration and all of us have learned a tremendous amount. And as we move through the next 6, hopefully we can apply those lessons learned. So thank you, everyone. And we'll get on with the rest of our meeting. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 30-24.
Bill number 3024, an ordinance concerning zoning, planned unit developments, community, and employment.
Mr. Smith, this is your bill. You have the floor.
Just for everyone's awareness, just to walk them through how we got to where we are today, I'll try to be very brief. This PUD was a partnership that we had attempted to have between a corporate entity, developer, as well as the community and the county government. And part of this process was to, and I've always said, was to get rid of the rubble landfill that exists there in North County. That rubble landfill has been in existence for decades. There are issues that surrounding community members and homeowners have conveyed to me as far as their concerns about health and things like that. So my intent behind this bill was to always remediate that land and come up with some ability to be able to get something else other than the rubble landfill. And we achieved that when it comes to the bill itself. But over the last year, the administration, we worked tirelessly to work an agreement that would allow the interest of the community and the county to be addressed. Unfortunately, however, in order to maintain the integrity of what was committed to, I'm going to ask this body at the appropriate time to not proceed with this current bill until all the issues have been worked out between all parties involved. The intent and direction of the legislation is sound, but in order to maintain our promise to the community, we will need to revisit this legislation at a time when all stakeholders are able to execute in a unified manner, as well as codifying language that protects the community's vision. And so while those things are being worked out with some of the parties who are impacted by this agreement, we thought it was prudent to pause the efforts to change the land use for that particular property so that we can make sure those agreements are withheld and maintained, and so the community sees a benefit to that. And so at the appropriate time, when we get to that point, I will certainly ask the council to vote no on this piece of legislation, and at some point in the future, we will bring it back with some modifications, but that's what I'm asking for the rest of the council. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Would the administration like to comment on Bill 30-24?
Certainly. Just briefly, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me at the table, I have Lynn Miller from the Office of Planning and Zoning and Lori Blair Klossmeyer from the Office of Law. I do appreciate the sponsors' work on this. Obviously, I understand where we are, and we certainly want to make sure that any commitments to the community are upheld. And so for that reason, we do support his request. I will note that there is another important part of this bill, revising some of the ordinance around planned use developments in general, which we think is an important policy going forward. So we will be coming back in the fall with legislation to just address that provision. And we're happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Fiedler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would assume if both the council member for the area that this legislation would impact and the administration are talking about bills coming back, there is a path forward that you've identified to some degree. We just ran out of time.
Well, So I think the administration and the legislation itself actually has the right language that we were hoping to enable. I think when it comes to keeping the commitment as far as the execution of that, when it's out of our hands, is a completely different story. And so I think in order to protect our equity in this process, it's best if we pause on our relationship and our portion of this process, so that we can allow all the stakeholders to ensure that they're able to execute what we had all agreed to from the beginning. So that, I think, is probably why we're asking for this not to move forward at this time.
Understood. Madam Chair.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to support your request this evening. You're a great advocate for your community. I just wanted to understand the full picture.
This, because this bill has been held, we've closed the public hearing previously, so we do not need to have a public hearing. Is there any other comments on Bill 30-24? Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill 30-24.
Bill number 30-24, an ordinance concerning zoning, planned unit developments, community, and employment.
Just going to call the roll. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 30-24.
Ms. Ledbetter?
Nay.
Mr. Smith?
Nay.
Mr. Volke?
Nay.
Ms. Hummer?
Nay.
Ms. Fiedler?
Nay.
Ms. Rodvian?
Nay.
And Ms. Pickard?
Nay.
0 in the affirmative, 7 in the negative. Bill number 30-24 has failed.
So we're voting on your own bill.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 61-24.
Bill number 6124, an ordinance concerning Anne Arundel County Transit Development Plan 2024.
This is an administration bill. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me at the table, I have Brian Ulrich from the Office of Transportation and Lori Blair Klossmeyer from the Office of Law. So the transit development plan that you have before you is a 5-year short-term transit plan. It's required by the Maryland Department of Transportation, or MDOT, the Maryland Transit Administration, MTA, as a condition for us being a locally operated transit system or LOTS recipient for funding. So the transit development plan is used as a basis, The transit development plan is used as a basis for preparing their annual transportation plans, which serve as their grant applications for transit funding. Transit development plan is a component of our transportation master plan, Move Anne Arundel, which also includes a long-range vision for transit. I do just want to note that over the past several years, ridership numbers on our locally operated transit system in Anne Arundel County have doubled since pre-pandemic levels. They have gone from 154,389 trips in FY 2020 to 315,941 trips in FY 2024, and we anticipate that ridership will continue to increase. And I'm going to turn it over to Brian for a more detailed explanation of what is in the plan.
Thank you, Brian Ulrich, Anne Arundel County Office of Transportation, and Sam was unable to make it today, so I'm representing him. Just to summarize real briefly what's in the plan, there's a summary of existing services, which I'm sure you're familiar with: 8 fixed routes, 2 call and ride zones, North and South County, and countywide general paratransit. All our services are fare-free, and it also discusses other regional services in the county, whether it's MTA, RTA, City of Annapolis, et cetera. And it also mentions some of the CIP, the capital investments that you, the county council, have made in the CIP, including Mark Garage, Pearl Transportation Center, Arundel Mills Transit Enhancements, et cetera. We did extensive public outreach. Part of that was a community survey where, although 93% of the people use a car as their primary mode of transportation, 69% and 69% were unaware of county services. 83% wanted improved or additional transit. So we thought that was important. We did a rider survey. We did stakeholder input. demographic analysis, and a review of other plans and studies across the county. And as a result, the proposed service plan expands the existing 2 call and ride zones to add 5 additional zones to cover the entire county. With service, there are a couple new fixed route services and some proposed regional services, which we'd be looking to coordinate with other agencies to provide. And we had public comment period after the presentation of the draft. We had a public meeting at the mall, an over month-long public comment period online, and of course we went through the Planning Advisory Board. And the comments are in the appendix at the back of the plan. That's all I have, unless you have questions.
Do we have questions or comments? Ms. Hummer.
I just want to commend the Department of Transportation for the amazing increase in ridership. We're now ahead of where we were before COVID, which most areas around us cannot say that. So y'all are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Seeing no other comments, we'll now open the public hearing on Bill number 61-24. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
We had no one sign up ahead of time. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak on Bill number 61-24 at this time? Seeing no movement in the audience, the public hearing on Bill number 61-24 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 61-24.
Bill number 6124, an ordinance concerning Anne Arundel County Transit Development Plan 2024.
Ms. Hummer.
At this time, I would like to make a motion to hold this bill until our next meeting. We've discovered that we might need to make some language changes of some specific items in the report. So I just ask my colleagues to support holding until the next meeting.
There's a motion to hold Bill 61-24 until the September 3rd meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on the motion to hold Bill 61-24 until September 3rd.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Volke.
Aye.
Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion to hold Bill number 6124 till September 3rd has passed.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 62-24.
Bill number 6224, an ordinance concerning Sylvan View on the Magathie Special Community Benefit District, approval of loan and assignment agreement.
Mr. Hunt, this is an administration bill. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me at the table, I have Chris Trumbauer, our budget officer, and Lori Blair-Klossmeyer from the Office of Law. The purpose of this bill is to provide the authority for the county to levy the special tax known as the Special Community Benefit Assessment on Sylvan View on the Magathie Special Community Benefit District in District 3 in an amount sufficient to repay a loan of $400,000 from Sandy Spring Bank during the 15-year term of the loan. The community took out a loan to do some dredging work that they want to get done this summer and fall. So that's what this is for. We're happy to answer any questions.
Is there any discussion at this time about Bill 62-24? Mr. Volke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is my district. I want to thank the administration for getting this down quickly, because I knew this was a bit time sensitive and you guys did really rush it, so I appreciate it. Not that you rushed the process, but you rushed moving it forward, and I'm grateful for that. Also want to thank Mr. Trumbauer for giving me a call earlier and identifying that there were some things in the auditor's letter that the administration has looked at, the Office of Law has looked at, and it sounds like everyone on the Office of Law and Budget side is comfortable with moving forward with this bill at this time, as am I, having now had that conversation with them. So I just say that for the benefit of my colleagues, that I have heard the issue and I've had a chance to talk to the administration about it, and I'm fine with it. Can you just confirm for me, Mr. Trumbauer, I believe there was an affirmative vote of the community to pass this, and I think when you and I talked, it was somewhere I did the numbers, it was like 72% or something. It was a pretty high number of people in support.
Chris Strummer, Budget Officer. If possible, Councilman, I'd like to defer to Ms. Blair
Perfect.
Klossmeyer because she has the details more
Perfect.
readily available.
Yep. She knows where this community is.
Yes, I do. Lori Blair Klossmeyer, Deputy County Attorney. So I don't have the exact vote here of the actual membership. I think it went out to the membership and then the board voted on it, and the majority of the board did vote for it.
Okay.
But they had a pretty robust community outreach on it.
Well, and it also sounds like, at least from what I had heard, that it looked like the initial sort of information on this was all the way back in December, and then
Yes.
the board didn't meet until May. So there was a long lag period in which the community could hear what was going on. That's
Right,
what
and
it
I think
looked
they
like.
posted on their website and
Okay.
bulletin boards and sent out letters and emails.
Good.
So,
Okay. Thank you very much.
Are there any further comments or questions? We'll now open the public hearing on Bill number 62-24. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
Hi, we didn't have anyone sign up ahead of time. I have to go through my whole thing. If there's anyone in the audience, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Sure. Wesley Evans, 400 Pasadena, Maryland. I also happen to be the president of the SVCA, so the Sylvan View Community Association. Just to be, so to answer your question more directly, yes, absolutely. We posted in a full accordance with the guidelines of the bylaws and the covenants of the community. We actually did have one of the largest turnouts I've had since I've been in the community. I've only been in this role for roughly 6 months, 7 months now. I took over actually a month early because a former volunteer president stepped away early and said, here, can you take this? But the community has been working on this for over 2 years, actually. We've gone through an extensive process. I will say this bill is for, this loan is for dredging and for marina repairs that are needed for safety issues in the community. We've gotten really bad rotten stringers on our pier, bad rotten pilings. And so we actually got great turnout. We got over 65 residents. We had one person who didn't know how to vote, so that one was a yes and a no at the same time, but actually 60-ish of the 65 were in the affirmative for it. There's a lot of support. We don't get a lot, obviously, it's a volunteer community association. We don't usually get a lot of turnout. The community is very in support of maintaining these. They recognize the value that adds to our community, to our residents, to our families. We've got a lot of young families coming into the community. It's kind of a shift in the age groups that's happening in the communities right now. And so I just wanted to say also I appreciate everyone here on the council and what you do for us with the special tax district. It helps us out a lot, and it allows us to continue to do those things. So I will say it's been an adventure. Nobody was left that had done this in the previous community administrations, we'll say. So I didn't get a lot of good advice, but we're stumbling through, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you for coming down tonight. That's very helpful information for the council. And I would give you just a little bit of advice as a previous PTA president, build the bench. Recruit your successor now.
I'm trying.
If there's no one else in the audience that wants to testify on Bill 62-24, the public hearing is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 62-24.
Bill number 6224, an ordinance concerning Sylvan View on the Magathie Special Community Benefit District, approval of loan and assignment agreement.
Is there any further discussion? Mr. Volke.
Can you add me as a co-sponsor?
Absolutely,
Thank you, Madam
thank you.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 62-24.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Volke.
Aye.
Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 6224 has passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 63-24.
Bill number 6324, an ordinance concerning zoning, residential and industrial districts, conditional and special exception uses, natural wood waste recycling facilities.
Mr. Volke, this is your bill. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The title sums up what the bill does. I will just take the council back to last fall. We passed Bill 7723, and that was what I would look at as something we should maybe have considered a little more carefully, and candidly, I should have considered more carefully. So I'll say this one time, Ms. Miller, you were right. And with that, yeah.
It's probably not just.
Well, it may be more, but in this instance, right? But I'm not. I said it. I said it. There it is. All right. So with that, I would ask for my colleagues' support. And in fact, a lot of what we were looking at doing with this bill has now been accomplished by the passage of Bills 2724 and 2824. So with that, I'd ask for my colleagues' support. Thank you.
Would the administration like to comment on Bill 63-24?
Ethan Hunt for the administration. I have Lynn Miller from the Office of Planning and Zoning and Lori Blair Klossmeyer from the Office of Law. We support this bill. I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's a big day, Mr. Volke. It's a big day. Mr. Smith.
Oh, I was just going to reiterate the statement that my colleague said when Ms. Miller was right. And so that was it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
We'll now open the public hearing on Bill number 63-24. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony from the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
No one signed up ahead of time for this bill. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on behalf of Bill 63-24 at this time? No one wants to come up and congratulate Ms. Miller on being right? Okay. We'll now close the public hearing on Bill 63-24. And Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 63-24.
Bill number 6324, an ordinance concerning zoning, residential and industrial districts, conditional and special exception uses, natural wood waste recycling facilities.
Seeing no further questions or comments from my colleagues, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 63-24.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Volke.
Aye.
Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Radvian.
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 6324 has passed.
7-0 vote, my friend. I'm going to. The night Mr. Volke said he was wrong. It's too easy. It's too easy. My apologies. My apologies. We are now at this time going to move on to resolutions, I believe. Madam Secretary, please read the title of resolution. Is this right? 2824.
Resolution number 2824, resolution approving estimates of the annual cost of providing health insurance benefits and the employer's subsidies used to determine the rates for certain participants under the County Employee and Retiree Health Benefits Program.
Mr. Hunt, this is an administration resolution. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me, I have Ann Badowski and Kelly Lovett from the Office of Personnel and Lori Blair Klossmeyer from the Office of Law. This resolution is to approve the annual cost estimates, the employer subsidy, and the rates for health insurance benefits under the county's various health insurance plans to current and retired employees. I don't know if they have any additional comments they want to make. If not, we'll answer any questions.
Ann Badowski, Personnel Officer. Just to remind everybody, annually our health consultant, Aon, does a review of all our claims and reports out to us what these rates should be, and that is what it has been reflected in this. So, thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, we'll now open the public hearing on Resolution 28-24. Madam Secretary, did we receive any testimony through the online testimony tool?
No, Madam Chair, we did not.
We have no one signed up to speak ahead of time. Is there anyone in the audience at this time that wants to speak on resolution number 28-24? Seeing no movement in the audience, the public hearing on resolution 28-24 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of resolution number 28-24.
Resolution number 2824, resolution approving estimates of the annual cost of providing health insurance benefits and the employer subsidies used to determine the rates for certain participants under the County Employee and Retiree Health Benefits Program.
Seeing no further questions or comments from my colleagues, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 28-24.
Ms. Ledbetter?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Volkey?
Aye.
Ms. Hummer?
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Resolution number 2824 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Resolution 29-24.
Resolution number 2924, resolution confirming the appointment of a member of the classified service to serve on the Pension Oversight Commission for Anne Arundel County.
Mr. Hunt, this is your resolution.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. This resolution is to appoint Michael Kropp to the Pension Oversight Commission. The county charter provides that a member of the classified service who's not a police or firefighter, police officer or professional firefighter shall be a member of the Oversight Commission, and so that is what this resolution does. Appoints him to a term of 4 years.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on Resolution 29-24? Seeing none, we'll now open the public hearing on Resolution number 29-24. Madam Secretary, did anyone give us any testimony?
No, Madam Chair.
We have no one signed up in advance. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak at this time on Resolution 29-24? Seeing no movement in the audience, the public hearing on Resolution 29-24 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Resolution 29-24.
Resolution number 2924, resolution confirming the appointment of a member of the classified service to serve on the Pension Oversight Commission for Anne Arundel County.
Any further discussion from my colleagues? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 29-24.
Ms. Ledbetter?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Volkey?
Aye.
Ms. Hummer?
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Resolution 2924 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Resolution 30-24.
Resolution number 3024, resolution confirming appointment to the Board of Trustees for the Anne Arundel County Retiree Health Benefits Trust.
Mr. Hunt?
Sorry, I don't have this one in my folder, and I am to blame because I put together my folder. So I too was wrong. Yes, this is. I'm going to ring in the Office of Personnel real quickly. I'm sorry. Be helpful.
I don't have this either.
I believe this is the appointed person, one of the appointees, the county executive appointees to the Retiree Health Trust Fund.
Brian Balicki, I believe.
And replaces, Mr. Dupay, thank you.
Is there any discussion? Does anyone want to ask any hard-hitting questions of Mr. Hunt on Resolution 30-24? And my notes say we don't, it's an appointment resolution, so we don't have a public hearing, even though, okay.
Madam Chair, it's because we just introduced these three tonight, and so
right.
therefore we won't have a public hearing on the three.
That's right. We waived those rules. Okay, we ready to vote? Madam Secretary, please read the title of Resolution 30-24.
Resolution number 3024, resolution confirming the appointment to the Board of Trustees for the Anne Arundel County Retiree Health Benefits Trust.
See, Mr. Volkey.
Just so it's clear to the public at home, we do have a copy of the bill in front of us, the resolution, so we have looked at it. Thank you.
Yes. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 30-24.
Ms. Ledbetter?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Volkey?
Aye.
Ms. Hummer?
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Resolution number 30-24 has been adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Resolution 31-24.
Resolution number 3124, resolution supporting the application to the Main Street Maryland affiliate program by the Department of Housing and Community Development, also known as the Department, and the local administration of the Main Street Maryland affiliate program by Arundel Economic Development Corporation for the Glen Burnie Town Center in Glen Burnie, Maryland.
Mr. Hunt, we have co-sponsored this, but I will give you the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. With me at the table, I have Lynn Miller from the Office of Planning and Zoning, Kaylee De La Puente from the Economic Development Corporation, and Lori Blair Klossmeyer from the Office of Law. And so in 2023, the Office of Planning and Zoning partnered with Arundel Economic Development Corporation to submit the Glen Burnie Sustainable Community Renewal Application to the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. That application was approved earlier this year. One of the priorities noted in this plan and the 2022 plan was to create a more attractive and vibrant Glen Burnie Town Center. And one of the strategies that was proposed was to seek a Main Street affiliate designation, and the Office of Planning and Zoning and Economic Development are coordinating this effort. The Department of Housing and Community Development suggested that we first apply at the affiliate level while we build out our Main Street program and develop the infrastructure to enable us to apply for full Main Street designation in the future. Affiliate Main Street designation will provide the Glen Burnie Town Center with access to Main Street programs, including funding and grants, technical assistance, and marketing resources. County Council approval gives us the opportunity to submit this application to DHCD. And I'll turn it over to Lynn if she wants to add any additional comments. Okay.
Or Ms. De La Puente.
Good evening. I just wanted to add what the funding resources associated with the Main Street Affiliate Program could cover. Grants can be used for staff and consultant services, general operating expenses, market and business recruitment strategies to improve a business district, street furniture, advertising, and facade improvements. I also just wanted to make a plug that the Main Street framework is a national framework for economic development and revitalization that has been well vetted, tested, and proven. So we're excited to apply at the affiliate level to be able to get resources to implement that framework in Glen Burnie.
Thank you. Thank you for staying through the meeting. Ms. De La Puente is our new town center manager, which this council approved in our budget last year, and has been working hard to bring attention and grants and building our business community in the Glen Burnie Town Center. This Main Street, this opportunity to begin our journey into the Main Street program is really exciting, and many community groups, the chamber, the downtown businesses of Glen Burnie are really excited to jump on board. So I'm excited to be able to do this tonight, and I would urge my colleagues' support. Is there any other questions, my colleagues? Seeing none. All right. Thank you for staying, Ms. De La Puente. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Resolution 31-24.
Resolution number 3124, resolution supporting the application to the Main Street Maryland affiliate program by the Department of Housing and Community Development, also known as the Department, and the local administration of the Main Street Maryland affiliate program by Arundel Economic Development Corporation for the Glen Burnie Town Center in Glen Burnie, Maryland.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 31-24.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Volke.
Aye.
Ms. Hummer.
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Resolution number 3124 has been adopted.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Resolution number 32-24.
Resolution number 3224, resolution denouncing violence against elected officials and candidates for elected office.
Mr. Volke, are you the lead on this tonight?
I am. Thank you, Madam Chair. But I think Mr. Smith had something he wanted to add before I start.
Please add me as a, I'm sorry I wasn't able to be reached earlier today, but please add me as a co-sponsor of the resolution. Thank
Noted,
you.
Mr. Smith. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
You may proceed.
Thank you. So first, I just want to thank all of my colleagues for joining in and co-sponsoring this piece of legislation. I'd like to read the resolution just so that it's in the public record. And I think that it's important, especially in light of some of the comments that Ms. Fiedler made earlier, that we reiterate our commitment in denouncing violence against elected officials and candidates for elected office. So the resolution reads, Resolution denouncing violence against elected officials and candidates for elected office. Whereas on July 13th, 2024 in Butler, Pennsylvania at a political rally, a gunman attempted to assassinate former President Donald J. Trump, killed an attendee at the rally, you said it better than me, Comparator? Did I get Comparator? Okay. And seriously injured two other rally attendees, David Dutch and James Copenhaver. And whereas Corey Comparator died a hero by shielding his family from this unacceptable, cowardly act of political violence. And whereas despite our personal political philosophies that at times manifest in policy disagreements, this council stands united in a common desire to serve our communities in our county. And whereas the county council's differences can lead to spirited, passionate disagreements, but at no point do those disagreements ever justify the use of violence against elected officials and candidates for elected office, now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of Anne Arundel County, Maryland, that the Anne Arundel County Council denounces the use of violence against elected officials and candidates for elected office, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to County Executive Stuart Pittman. With that, we have all stepped up, and some of us have made comments publicly in other forums, but this is a way for this body to step forward and to say what happened over the weekend in Pennsylvania is unacceptable in any form, in any forum, regardless of party, regardless of policy, regardless of philosophy. No belief ever justifies the use of violence against elected officials or candidates for office. As one of my colleagues said to me earlier, I don't want to steal their thunder, but just because you decide to step out and serve your community and want to be an elected official and want to serve in an elected office does not mean you should be putting a target on your back. And it does not mean that you deserve to have violence committed against you or your family or anyone else for that matter. So with that, I thank my colleagues for their support. I welcome anyone else who has comments that they want to add to this, because I know certainly the events over the weekend, I'm sure, have touched all of us in different ways. Thank you.
Ms. Rodbian.
Thank you. I want to just thank the sponsor and the sponsors who brought forward the bill, and proud to be a co-sponsor. I also just really want to say I'm proud of the way this council of 7 members just is generally very civil and cooperative, and very frequently finds common ground. Obviously, we don't always. We represent different districts with different values, but I'm really proud to be part of this particular 7-member council. And I think this resolution is so obvious it should go without saying, but obviously the occasion merits saying it again. So thank you.
Ms. Ledbetter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also I'm going to jump on Ms. Rodbian's bandwagon of giving credit to my colleagues on the council in particular. Anne Arundel County, I think we're very lucky to live here because of the environment that we have created and we have built as leaders, from community leaders to the council that is here today. And the words we choose to use every day, the way we treat each other, the respect that we show each other as leaders, the information and the messaging that we put out into our communities, I think we can all be really proud of, as a council, the environment that we have built. And I'm proud again that we came together on this resolution to condemn violence. Very well spoken. The person that Mr. Volke referenced was not me, who mentioned that just because you stand up and you want to serve your community doesn't mean that you should have a target on your back. Whichever one of you said that, agree 1,000%. So very happy that we're doing this.
This is a statement from the council, but I'll allow Mr. Hunt to speak on behalf of the county executive if you choose.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan Hunt for the administration. I guess I will just say briefly, I agree completely. I know the county executive agrees completely. Violence has no place in a democracy, and engaging in acts of violence when people are exercising their First Amendment rights in political forums no matter how vehemently you disagree with someone's perspective or ideology, is no excuse for engaging in violence.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Please read the title of Resolution 32-24.
Resolution number 3224, resolution denouncing violence against elected officials and candidates for elected office.
Seeing no other further discussion, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 32-24.
Ms. Ledbetter?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Volke?
Aye.
Ms. Hummer?
Aye.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
And Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Resolution number 32-24 has been adopted.
Is there any further business any council member would like to bring before the county council at this time? May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. The county council is adjourned until Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. for our next legislative session. Have a happy and safe summer, and please, please take care of yourself in this extreme heat.